last communication of Simiat as it concern all of us, and very, very well appreciated. That is a good method to teach or to involve, because now we don't need to inform or to teach or to involve students in the learning now. That is a very good method. Maybe we can share the presentation as we can distribute or disseminate the method in our university also. Good method. Active learning in physiology, not only for physiology, but for all discipline that we teach or we teach in the university or in the small class also. But my question is for the big group. In our university, you have in the first class, you have over, in my university we have over 1,000 students in the same class. How do we do? Now we divide into, if you have over 1,000, we divide the university, divide into maybe 3 groups, 2 or 3 groups. So you have almost 300 or 400 students. How can you apply? Do you have any idea to share with us? That is my question. Thank you.
Thank you. We are taking questions, comments. Yes.
For example, any variations depending on the 2 modalities that one of them may be predisposed to, or vice versa. For example, autoimmune condition to the gut, etc. That maybe disadvantage an unit for the life.
Thank you. My name is Professor Sama, Professor Kaddam, and my question mostly goes to Professor Lamis. You mentioned about the gut bone marrow axis, and one of the ways the mediators is short chain fatty acids, which I assume maybe they are most metabolized from the oligosaccharides. So my question is there a potential maybe using drugs that activate the fatty acid oxidation? Because we know that would that be a potential therapeutic option maybe? And another one is what's so special about the gut microbiota? Why not maybe the urinary microbiota? Or do they have any effect also on the gut, the bone marrow axis and digest? Yes. Like the question is, what's so special about the gut microbiota? Why not about the microbiota? Or is there any role of the microbiota from other areas? Let's say the genitourinary will also have the same effect on the bone marrow axis. And how about also the infectious microbiota as well? Because one of the mechanisms is through the LCS, which could also be found in infectious bacteria, like the staph aureus, for instance. And another one is for Professor Ulrich. I'm just interested on could natural vasodilators like nitrogen dioxide as well as the vasoconstrictors such as endothelin-1, do they also have the effect on those gap junctions we're talking about, or their mechanism is a bit different from that?
Thank you. I am Shubi from the University of Dodoma as well. And my question goes to Professor Ulrich. Yeah, I'm wondering about this conductive vasodilatation, because ultimately the circulatory system is one giant network. So can you say something about the reach of this conduction of signal? So is there some mechanism for demarcation?
Let me ask them to answer this first, and then we'll take another set of questions.
Thank you for your
very generous comments, Mr. Kaddam. In a large class, I mean, you described 300, some 400, there are different methods that can be used. Of course, you will have to divide them into groups because they will not be able to do individual presentations, okay? You have to do presentations, so you have to divide them into groups. And then what will also help is if you have maybe teaching assistants or other colleagues who can also come into the room with you. Okay, so and there you would also have taught what you expect the students to know, and they will help you keep the students on task by going around the room as a way they're also going back. So there is always a way when there is a way. I've heard this comment a lot of times that, oh, we have large classes in Africa, how we need to cope, and all this. There is always something that you can do. First, you give the work in groups, you get colleagues to assist you, as you will also be assisting them. Okay? And if there are no colleagues and you use your tutorial assistants, we're available. I know again, there's some universities that do not have tutorial fellows, but there will always be somebody who can share the room with you. And if there is not, then you make to divide them into maybe groups of 20, groups of 8, because 8 will not work for you. You have groups of 20 and then you go around. And you divide the time amongst all of them. As long as you set them the work to do, and they know that yes, they are learning, and you create a safe environment for them to make their mistakes and ask questions that you know, prompt feedback. Okay, as we go from one group to the other and then asking the question, you are also giving them the feedback. Alright? And do not turn the classroom into another teaching time. So they ask you questions, if there's something that really genuinely you know they will not be able to answer, you answer. But the ones that, oh, from what the task I've set you, you should have come across in response to this. Why don't you look again? So that empowers them, that makes them want to actually work harder and find the answer. And when they do, they own that information. Because when you tell them most of the time, you know, students will stand up and say, you said, and I'll tell them, no, it's not about what I said, it's about what you know or what you understand, or what is your question. So do not get into that rut of actually now teaching them all over again. Now is to clarify issues for them and make sure they have a better understanding. Okay? I hope that helps.
Yes. Sorry for this question. Because about your experience, what about the time? Because me, I guess that we need more time to you to apply this method. I don't know. You can answer about your experience. Do we need more time or less time when you compare the both methods? And this, it means that we need colleagues, assistants. So that is very wonderful problem in our university. So you need time, you have to, because after they do the work group, you have to verify to know if the answer are right or not. So you need time to do all this. That is the problem.
Secondly, teaching using active learning techniques require more of the facilitator, of the faculty. So you need to have, you need more time to give them outside of the class, and also give them what you do not have to mark each script. You do not have to read each script. They can't do that for you. And then you moderate what you expected them to have given you in response at the end of the class.
And
yes.
At the end, you give them the answer.
If necessary.
The right answer.
If necessary.
Because they would have found it out themselves.
Thank you, the trust. You asked what affects the gut microbiota in neonates. Till now, they are speaking about that mode of delivery, as I told you, because the neonate gets their microbiota from his mouth. The time of feeding, because that microbiota is fed on high fiber on diet, on fibers. So the mother have oligosaccharides. Now have been recently added
formulas, but breastfeeding will ensure more diverse and abundance of healthy microbiota. Other thing, extreme hygiene. Now all our kids never play on the floor, never play in sands at all. And if we did so, we'll be as a very bad mom. But our kids need to be there. So, not all the time, but they have to. Actually, they found that even helminthids have their own initiation of moderation of microbiota and regulation of innate and adaptive immunity. Now it's almost missing. And as I said, they found that in high-income Western countries, the incidence of food allergies and autoimmune, like for example, asthma and so on, food allergies is very common compared like in Africa. I don't think you ever see amino nut allergy in Kenya. In Sudan, I never see. We eat it every day. So this is one thing I got. That's the hygiene, the environment, breastfeeding, and community. And this is why now people should think twice of having a cesarean section unless there is strong indication for it. Is it satisfying? You ask about short-chain fatty acids. Short-chain fatty acids it's amazing. Do everything. It's strong anti-inflammatory, it's immunomodulated, it works almost in every disease. But the problem is that, as I said, during the presentation, they have very short half-life because they are short-chain fatty acids. In a trial was done to give them as fetal-inducing agents, you can say anemia. They give like 40 taps, or you have to give them IV infusions. It's difficult to get the pharmacologic substance. This is why we can think that prebiotic or probiotic that are capable of increasing. Actually, this is the definition of prebiotic agents, that it selectively enrich a community of microbiota to increase the level of short fatty acid in the serum. Probiotic, as I said, they are getting ready-made bacteria. So this is. And
my question was, is it possible if we could activate the fatty acid oxidation to have more short-chain fatty acids? I understand the root of prebiotics, but what if there's a way to activate fatty acid oxidation so that the long
erythromyces and erythromyces, how they can work as anti-inflammatory endogenous.
How about the microbiota from other areas, or the infected ones?
What?
Let's say LPS from Staph aureus. Would we also have this?
Yes, I said that we can't stand emptiness. So if we reduce the number of commensals at least, commensals are neutralizing, they will be occupied by pathogenic microbacteria. This is what people are thinking, and this explains why many of antibiotics will end up with diarrhea, because they're post-antibiotic diarrhea. This is because now we have a disturbance in the community of microbiota.
So I will start with the question back there. This conductive dilation, the range is between 1 and several millimeters. This seems to be enough for these perfusion units. And the length is not really predictable because it depends on the electrical resistance of the gap junctions, which can be regulated. Higher resistance means lower distance. And also on the membrane resistance. If you use more electric current underway, the response will fade out earlier. So that is, what I would say is, the range is enough to be more, to serve the purposes of these perfusion units. The larger vessels, the small arteries, for example, or the feeding arteries, which supply these arterioles, they probably dilate mainly by another dilation, and this is the shear stress-induced dilation. Whenever you have an increase in blood flow in an area, you have an increase in shear stress, and the endothelium responds to this increase in shear stress by producing more nitric oxide. And the larger vessels are anyway more nitric oxide dependent, and the small arterioles are more endothelium-dependent hyperpolarization vessels. Yeah? I hope this answers your question. And coming back to your question, that is a very good question, and you were very observant. So, first of all, the transmission to smooth muscle can happen in several ways. Since your endothelial cell is hyperpolarizing, you can directly transfer hyperpolarization to the smooth muscle. It depends how much the sink is, how big the sink is, whether it can induce very much or not. But the endothelial, the smooth muscle cells are not that well coupled, so you're not losing too much current to the environment. Then this hyperpolarization also activates these immunorectifying potassium channels, and that means potassium is released and you do not necessarily need calcium. Yeah? And the calcium that comes down to the myoendothelial junction is a potential problem, because if the calcium goes to smooth muscle, then it contracts, whereas the endothelium wants to dilate.
That's what
And the answer is, this calcium from the endothelium can hardly reach the smooth muscle, because, for example, in connexin 13-7 gap junctions, nitric oxide blocks the permeability for calcium from the endothelium down to smooth muscle. The other way around does really exist. If smooth muscle cells have a lot of calcium to contract, some of the calcium goes up to the endothelium, induces hyperpolarization, and stops further contraction. So it seems a little bit a one-way street, although one cannot be sure under all experimental conditions. Yeah? Does it answer your question? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. I missed the questions. Someone asked me a question I didn't answer. Was I found myself writing a note?
Just so many people have questions. One, you have spoken already. One, two, three, and four. Yes, 4 people. You see 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yes.
Start with the back, come forward.
There.
You may be given
You're not. You have spoken so many times.
You may be given 0.5 minutes to say.
0 minutes.
In that way now, the weakest link is being pulled up while the very highest one. You come to a meeting and I'll use the example you gave about the nursing students. You notice that majority of them, from what I saw, more than 89% passes. But then somebody scored very low, and it was not even because the person was not intelligent, but it was always going to watch my other. That's how they call it that. So if that class is considered as a group, does it now mean that a class that more than 90%, but if we give the score of the weakest link, it will make the whole class fail. So I think an average to, will be better, the score for that group. Even though if somebody is weak, the score for that will get 80 on CV. I'm sure you also consider how the others presented before you do that. So that's another work happening. I think, thank you. That's my contribution.
In the interest of time, my question is to the Professor Simiat and Ulrich. I think it's a follow-up on this teaching method. We have very big groups like colleagues have said, and one of the challenges I find is the attitudes of the new generation. They are very casual about learning. And sometimes even when you give assignments and you tell them to make use of resources like the library journals and so on, you find there is a lot of reluctance. Now, for some of us, and I'll give my example, there was never a time that the group scored less than 7 because they carried one another along. But if they knew that it was going to be an average, why should I bother? Okay, somebody's going to get 10 anyway, and somebody will get 4, and then why not high, and then we get 5, and we all happy. So I think that when I introduce, and it's not the first time I'm doing it, I was doing it in Nigeria, and my students actually learned, they appreciated it. Okay, so if we would just try it, just the fact that you told them, the fact that you tell them that whoever gets the weakest, least score, who's going to represent the group, you would see the way they would change in attending to the question. Yes. And then the assessments that we did, that's individual, that's MCQ, multiple response question. So if somebody took ill, we're not going to award the mark of somebody else to that person. All right, so that was individual, and there will always be individual examinations. About attitude, yes, I noticed that when I got to Nairobi. When the students gave me that feedback, the review that they gave to the School of Nursing about me, one of the things that the Associate Dean appreciated was the difference in culture. In Nigeria, our medical students, School of Nursing students, anybody in the College of Medicine are very serious. They may be playful, they may want to not listen, but because there are rules, at least where I worked, Lagos State University, there are rules of engagement. They know that when they come to school, it is serious work in the College of Medicine. It's different from other schools. Now, what I did with the students, I mean, just to buttress the fact about attitude, when I first met them, I said, oh yeah, this is a... So we had a flip chart on the wall, and I said, now we're going to agree on the rule of engagement. Okay? So they made the rules. We all agreed. What do you think we should do in this classroom? We say, oh, we must respect one another, put it on the wall. Oh, no phones should be beeping, put it on the wall. Oh, this. So we had 12 rules on the wall. And we would guide ourselves, our engagement with that. So that was my #1 problem with them. They said, oh, she gave us rules. I didn't give them the rules. They set the rules. Okay? The other thing about the fact that we want to use gadgets. Fortunately now at Japan, the policy is bring the gadgets into the room. And if you saw some of the slides I showed you, they actually had the laptops in front of them. So you set them tasks that will enable them to use their gadgets. That way, you will retain their attention. But if you say, shut your laptop, no phones, no this or that, then you will lose them immediately. Okay? So it now depends on them. They now have to own their own learning. They have to know that when I'm in class, I'm not going to be on TikTok, I'm not going to be on whatever else they're on. I need to use this gadget to do my work. So they allow their gadgets. Nobody's going to say, shut your gadgets. And once you do that, they're happy. So, but the attitude of not wanting to learn, you have to find a way. And one of the things, as I was saying, if I got to read by myself, was that the lady told me, the associate told me that, I don't know if it's true, but she's in Kenya, and she said, oh, these are students who have grown with no rules. That in Kenya, you cannot say, stop doing that, sit down there, stand up there, they can take you to court. Yes, that was what I was told. But I said, I'm training medical students, I'm training School of Nursing students, and we made the rules together. Guess what? Today, they use those rules in engaging with the other faculty of their own volition, because now they're used to it. Okay? When you have your gadget, use it for classwork. But if you do go on using it to talk to somebody, it's on your own, that's your own decision. They're adults. I can't go check in, are you on TikTok? No, that's not my job. My job is I set you what to do, you all do it, and you bring it to report when we ask you to report. So about large student size, student number, yes, we all deal with this one way or the other. Also again, I think I was lucky I've had the most I've ever had in training medical students is 110 in my class. So I feel for you if you've got 300 or 500, but active learning actually helps you at the end of the day. It is not about what they score in the exam. only. It's about understanding of the concepts that you're teaching them. And if you use this, if you set them tasks, okay, as groups, they will learn from one another. Eventually, they'll make your work easier. And they will come out better. Yes, at some point, you have to stand and tell them, explain some mechanisms to them. At some point, you have to give them life experiences, all well and good. But what we're saying is, let us stop treating our students as if they're empty vessels. And you know what, I'm sure, when you finish your 3-hour lecture, whatever number of hours you do, and you ask them any question, what do they say? No question.
Yes.
Do you all understand? Yes, we do. But in active learning, that cannot happen because you are actively asking questions. You are engaging them. You're stopping your lecture and discussing things with them. And they're giving you feedback. So there's no way they will not learn in this kind of manner. I think we should try it. Like I said, I've been learning about this many years. This silver thing, many of the great professors in physiology have been talking about it, and I have been trying to do a little bit of it in Lagos State University. But here at Japan, it's expected of us. So the museum was asking, that is anatomy doing the same thing, is biochemistry doing the same thing? Yes, because we're actually trained. You have to have some training before you're exposed to the students. And it is expected that you do that. If you do not, then you're breaching some of the things, the policies that you have agreed to uphold. So everybody is expected to do that. In fact, when we build cases, the cases that we build go across the disciplines. Because we teach in an integrated manner. So we're teaching cardiovascular system, he's doing heart anatomy, she's doing, you understand? So our cases we can use across the disciplines, and we can also use in later years. So it's a lot of effort, I agree with Professor Kaddam. It's a lot of effort, but it's yielding. We can see it in the students that we teach. And manual for active learning in physiology. Oh, Susan Ray left the room, but I'm sure Barman will tell her. We need a manual for active learning in physiology. We have a lot of medical educators in physiology. I'm sure if this is not already existing, it's something that can be done. Yes?
Yeah, so what Sue Ray told me to say was we'll look into it, because if there's somebody that might...
The resting conditions, the influence of the sympathetic nervous system, at least in the anesthetized animal, is limited. Yeah? And in addition to this, if you have then want to induce a further vasodilation, there is no way just to block or to run the sympathetic stone. You need these local vasodilators. And to clarify, we never use sympathetic inhibitors. It was only in that study where they wanted to show the contribution. Of course, narcosis can always, anesthesia can always affect it to some extent, but we are working in the intact system. Okay?
Thank you. I know some people still have questions, still have some things, but I will advise that we do that during lunch. You can see any of them and discuss about it. And now we will go for lunch, and because of time, I'm requesting you that we take only 30 minutes.